Let's go. Peace and love to all the guys and goddesses of this beautiful planet. True chosen ones, light workers and star seeds. Welcome to the Cosmic Cave, and welcome to another exclusive, eccentric, and electric broadcast, aka Godcast, because this is not the average podcast. All right. We're just gonna get started, man. We're just gonna dive right on into it. So, I got a requested video. This video was requested from a follower of mine on TikTok. For those of y'all, for all my new subscribers, I got like over 100 or so new subscribers on YouTube in the last few days. And for all of y'all that's new, y'all make sure y'all go tap in with me on my IG and my TikTok. I don't really too much care for IG. I'm not even gonna hold y'all, but especially my TikTok. I got a brand new TikTok. I just hit 100 followers. I had a TikTok, my last TikTok I got banned from. I had just reached like over 1,000 or so followers. I was just, for some reason I had to wait till I had got like 500 or so, or maybe like 800. I forget how many exactly followers I had to have, but I had to have like a certain amount of followers before I could go live. And they banned me right after I was finally able to start going live on TikTok. Soon after that. And for some reason, I didn't have to wait that long on my new TikTok. They just let me know the other day I can start going live on my new TikTok now with just 100 followers. But for some reason, I had to wait till I had like 500 or so on my last one. But they banned it though. They banned me, and yeah. So I had to start fresh on TikTok. So y'all make sure y'all go out. Like I say, I got them in my bio. My accounts are in my YouTube bio. Y'all go tap in with me on TikTok. Yeah. So, like I said, requested video. One of my followers on TikTok requested that I make a video talking about how my journey started. You know, how I got to where I'm at. You know, pretty much. It's been a while since I talked about it, and it's a beautiful story. It really is. I got a powerful testimony. You know, because she mentioned, like, you know, talking about where I was at that point in my life, and where I was at that point in my life 4 years ago. My journey started in 2020. You know, same for a lot of you. I imagine, you know, a lot of us, you know, that's when the mass awakening started back in 2020. A lot of people started waking up. A lot of people started waking up in 2020. I just so happen to be one of those people now. I just so happened to had just started doing methamphetamine, y'all. You know, and that's how my journey started. It started soon after I started doing meth. Ironically, you know, I know y'all might think to yourselves like, meth, like how the fuck you gonna, like how where they do that at, you know? We gonna break it down though. I'm gonna break it down for y'all. So, like I said, it's a beautiful story. So, you know, it's actually how not only did my spiritual journey start, my healing journey started. I started healing in 2020. You know, I started healing even though I was doing meth. I mean, it's miraculous. Like, it's magical, y'all. I know a lot of y'all thinking to yourselves like, how the fuck you get spiritual doing meth? I know. We gonna get into it. So I had this girlfriend, man. I had this snow bunny ordeal, you know, that I was caught up in. And that's how I started doing meth. I remember at one point, me and this person had started, you know, we was having casual sex on and off for a long time, but in 2019, for some reason, I wanted to make this person, I wanted to get in a committed relationship with this person. You know, it was a bad idea, but I mean, I don't regret it because it wouldn't, you know, everything that happened, you know, everything that led up to where I'm at right now at this very moment, it was supposed to happen. You feel me? So I don't regret anything. If I can do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. You feel me? But we were together for like a year. So, but I remember one time I went through this person's stuff. I went through her stuff. She was at my place sleep, and she was doing meth the whole time. Without my knowledge, you know. And one day she was out cold. I went through her stuff, and I found a pipe and some dope. And I was like, damn, like this whole time, this what you've been on, you know. That wasn't when I started, but you know, I didn't start doing it till sometime after. You know, I had just got curious. I had just got curious. You know, I was like, I wonder, you know, cause I knew this person was on this stuff in the past, but I didn't know at the time we was together. I didn't know she had got back on it. You feel me? But at the same time, once I found it, everything started making sense. You know, because things that was happening, you know, around that time that I couldn't make sense of. But then when I found that at her belongings, I was like, damn, okay, so a lot has started making sense. You feel me? So, but at the same time, like I said, I just got curious, and I was like, okay, I wonder what is it about this stuff that made this person do it, stop doing it, start back doing it. Like, I just got curious. You know, my curiosity, it didn't kill me. You feel me? But I just eventually you know, I told her I want to do it. I want to try it. You know, I want to do it. I want to try it, and I did it. The first time I did it, I don't think it really had much of an effect on me, but you know, ultimately I tried it again, and I liked it. You know, I liked it. Like, I was a very down person. So it made me feel more up. You know. And normally people that's already naturally up, they don't like uppers. They like to do stuff that's gonna bring them down a little bit, you know. I was naturally, see now, you know, now I'm a naturally up person. I'm naturally upbeat now, you feel me? As a result of my spiritual journey. But in the past, you know, I was a downer. I was what they would consider or call a Debbie Downer. You know, you wouldn't have wanted me to be around if you was somebody who was vibe or high. You wouldn't have wanted me to be around you in the past. I'ma just put it like that, you know. But I'm somebody who you would definitely want around you now. All right. So life of the party type shit. You feel me? But so I started doing it, and I had this job. At the time, I had this job. I was working at this pizza place called U.S. Pizza. So, you know, I had did it for like maybe 3 or 4 weeks before my spiritual journey took off, you know. And as y'all know, you know, catalyst to spiritual awakenings, you know, for a lot of us is that, you know, fasting, you know, when you refrain from eating as much as you were programmed to, that can, you know, facilitate a spiritual awakening. And I was definitely doing that, you know, because of, you know, ultimately the drug that I was doing, methamphetamine, it suppresses your appetite. So I wasn't eating as much. And at the time, like I said, I was working at the pizza place. This around the time the pandemic started. And when the pandemic started, hold on, y'all, I'll be right back. Hold that up. Okay, when the pandemic started, place I was working at, all the employees got to take home every day that we was on the clock. Even if we wasn't on the clock, every day, take home a free pizza and a salad. So I found myself, I ate, I ate a few slices of pizza, but ultimately I brought the pizza home from my fam. You feel me? My siblings, my grandma at the time was living with me. But them salads though, I was smashing. Iceberg lettuce, or it was either iceberg lettuce or sometimes spinach, but yeah, loaded. They got some of the best salads, y'all. Loaded my shit up, and I worked there, so I loaded my shit up. My salad up extra nice, you feel me? Extra nice. So, you know what I'm saying? But and then I'm out in the sun. They tried to get people they tried to make people want to stay at home. I'm still outside, like a lot of around that time for the pandemic, people was like leaving their jobs, and people was like filing for unemployment and stuff like that. And a lot of my coworkers chose to. It was kind of like a paid leave, because the store shut down, to the point of where people couldn't come dine in the pizza place anymore. They had to, like Pizza Hut do carryouts. You feel me? So they order the food, they go park outside, we bring it out to you. That's how it was. For maybe like a month or so, people couldn't come in the store and eat. You feel me? Or the restaurant and eat. But yeah, I'm still outside in the sun. I'm riding my bike to work every day, to and from work, and eventually, this is, now my journey is about to start now. This is where it all changes, because one night I was getting off work, and this is kind of my routine for a while, I would get off work, I would come home, and I would listen to music. I feel like music was the catalyst to my awakening too, because music just hit different when I was high. Music hit different, and certain lyrics, it was kind of like I was decoding the deeper meanings in certain lyrics, or even if that person that created the song wasn't even intending to even put a deeper meaning into their lyrics, I myself personally found meaning, new meaning in these songs, So yeah, that's an add-on. That's an add-on catalyst. Music really hit different. And another add-on catalyst was that after I started doing METH, of course it made me more productive, it made me more active. And I started cleaning and rearranging my space that I was in. The space that I'm in now. I mean, y'all, like my space, it wasn't like this. It's like I got so much space out here now versus then. Like I could barely, the way my space was set up in the past, I could barely even move around. Like I could barely even stretch my arms out and, without touching anything. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, feng shui, I got a whole chapter in my book, 22 Keys to Higher Consciousness, on feng shui and the importance of feng shui. All right? And the life-changing magic of tidying up. All right? Now, I know it's a little misleading because I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all tried to go search up my book on Amazon, but y'all thinking y'all gonna find the cover art that's in my profile picture. So my apologies for that. That's actually, it's gonna be the cover art to my paperback, to my hard copy book. You feel me? But my ebook, that's not the cover art to it. It's actually like a pink background. I'm gonna probably have to change my profile picture to the actual cover art that's on my book, so y'all can know what it looks like. When y'all see it, y'all gonna be like, okay, that's it. That's the one right there. That's what we've been looking for. Okay, but until then, it's like a pink background. My government name, Frank Andrews, flow like water. My spiritual name, flow like water, in parentheses. And the name of the book is at the top, 22 Keys to Higher Consciousness. And it says on the bottom, on top of my name, the roadmap and guidebook to liberation from limitations, overcoming addictions, and achieving high levels of self-mastery, self-discipline, and self-improvement. All right, now back to the story. So, those were the three catalysts: feng shui, music, and not eating as much. You feel me? And mind y'all, this is around same time we in now, same time in 2020, around April. There's no coincidence I'm talking about this now. Around the same exact time, y'all. Cause y'all know the new year actually started. The new year started. Oh, we in May now. No, we in May. Yeah, we are in May now, but the new year started in April. You feel me? With the sun going into Aries. Spring equinox. So same time last month, 2020. All right. So I had got home. After, work. It was at nighttime. And like I say, my routine when I got home for a little while, it was come home, play music, of course, get high, and I'd probably rearrange my space a little bit, or I'd probably, create color or paint or something like that, I'd probably get to dancing or singing, because dancing or singing is healing, even coloring and painting, and that's sacral chakra energy. You feel me? That's sacral chakra healing. All sacral chakra healing activities that you can do. So, but this particular night, I didn't do any of it. I didn't even cut on no music, y'all. I sat up damn near the whole night in contemplation. It was like effortless contemplation. I was reflecting on my past. This is why I say this is not only the beginning of my spiritual journey, but it was the beginning of my healing journey. Because so I brought up my ex because I had broke up with her. If I'm not mistaken, was it after this night or before this night? I forget which one it was, but not too long after that. Or it was either right before or right after this night. I'm talking about. I had broke up with my ex, so that was like another catalyst. Whether it was before or after that night, it was another catalyst. You feel me? Because it marked a new phase in my journey. Because I had finally broke up with her. Because like I say, or I might not have mentioned, but that relationship in itself was a fucking up and down roller coaster ride. You feel me? And after I broke up with old girl, it was like the phase of me moving into more independence, because I was no longer dependent upon her. You feel me? I was embracing independence. And I had also started doing semen retention too, and that's another thing that got me to where I'm at now, semen retention. But I had broke up with her because I was, I had got tired of the lies and the fighting all the time, and I had enough, But anyway, that particular night I came home, and that's like I said, I stayed up there the whole night just reflecting, on my past, reflecting on everything I had been through and all the trauma and pain I had endured. And it was something that I was contemplating in particular. I'm not gonna go into no details about it, but maybe I'll dive into that, on another video. But I'll dive deeper into the details of that in a separate video. But for now, I'm gonna just keep it vague. But ultimately, I had ended up having a huge emotional release that night, and for some reason, meth makes you very emotional. I had noticed over the 4 years that I was doing it, it always like made me super emotional. Like, whenever I cried, I was like, sometimes I found myself crying, not even knowing what I'm crying about. But see, it wasn't just the meth though, because I came across a lot of people talking about things like that, like spontaneous crying, not even knowing why the fuck you're crying, not even knowing what you're crying about. That happens to a lot of us on this journey. All right. If you don't know what you're crying about in those moments, eventually it's gonna hit you. You're gonna realize what it was, what you were releasing. Because it's all, we're not always consciously aware of what's being released, what's coming up and being released. All right. Emotionally, but I knew what I was releasing that night, because like I said, I had stayed up there for the whole night thinking about it. And I ended up, like I say, having a huge emotional release. And I felt lighter after that night. I felt lighter, I felt brighter, more vibrant. I felt like I could fucking fly. Like the following days after that, I felt like I could fly. Like I had started, because I was healing from. I can tell y'all specifically what I was healing from. I was healing from like a lot of abandonment issues, mommy issues, just overall coming from a broken family home. You feel me? After that night, like before that night, it was hard for me to talk to and bond with my mama and my siblings, with my family. But after that night, I had started talking with them more, bonding with them more, having more interactions with them, making memories, making happy memories with them. You know what I'm saying? I was no longer afraid to like express myself and be myself around them. When at first I couldn't stand to even be around them. But after that night, I was more open. Like it was like I had a heart chakra awakening. And I had opened up to more compassion and unconditional love. And that allowed me to make some happy memories with my folks. And not too long after that, I started smoking weed. I started smoking dispensary grade weed with my mama, and like I had even found myself crying around them sometimes, because I was no longer, like it was a lot of shame and guilt being released at the same time too, I ain't feel no shame in my pain or shame in my game around, letting my family see me break down like that, so. But I started smoking dispensary grade weed, like, chilling, with my mama, we talking, smoking weed, so having the interactions with them that I always wanted to have, like, that I always longed to have, that healed my root chakra, you feel me, it helped me tap back into my roots, and from there, when you finally heal those lower three chakras, you can finally tap into your heart chakra and up, tap into the higher realms. And like I said, around that time, I felt like I could fly, y'all. I felt like some days I felt like I was floating. You feel me? Like levitating, not even walking, but just hovering above the ground, like, So that's what started my healing. That's what started my healing journey. That's what started my spiritual journey. And after that, not too long after that, y'all, that's when I started coming across a whole lot of videos and information involving tarot card readings. I got into crystals. You feel me? Because my sister at the time was selling crystals. I had a sister that was selling crystals at the time. She was into all of this stuff, you know. She was into the whole diet change thing, and so yeah, she was into doing yoga and essential oils and all of that stuff. Most of the stuff that I'm into now, she was already into that around this time. And like I said, she was selling crystals. And I remember one day she came over to visit because at the time she was like in and out. Like she would live here with us at one point, but then she would move out and she would go out, do her own thing, and she would come back, and she would leave again, but at the time she was out doing her own thing, and she had came over to visit one day. I remember the day like it was yesterday, y'all. I made a video, like, cause see, I had started making music in 2018. 2017, 2018, I had started making music. And I remember we was all like dancing to one of my songs that I made back then. And I made I gave my grandma, and my granny, she was living with us at the time. I gave my grandma the camera and I told her to record me and my siblings, me and all 4 of my siblings, dance to my song that I made. You feel me? That was a beautiful night. And that same night, my sister had left some crystals here. And hey, this is a beautiful story, y'all. So look, she left the crystals here. And I remember she texted me, she was like, hey, can you go grab the crystals off the table? I left these crystals, over there by accident. Can you go grab them and put them up for me? And I was like, okay, cool. So I went and grabbed the crystals. And I never forget, y'all. I don't know what it was about these crystals, but I wanted them. I was like, as a matter of fact, she told me, she was like, pick one, pick you out one. If you want one, pick one and just get me on the back end, pay me my money, next time I see you. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I couldn't just pick one. I had to have all 3 of them. I never forget, y'all. It was a jade. The one and only jade I've ever had. I never had another jade. That was the only jade that I've ever had my whole entire journey. This whole 4 years, going on 5 years. I've never seen it. I probably seen another jade other than that one, besides that one. But I never owned another jade. That was the only jade I've ever owned personally. But it was a jade, a rose quartz, and a red jasper. I had to have all 3 of them, y'all. I said, look, I'm gonna pay you for all 3 of these. I gotta have all 3 of them. I can't just pick one. All 3 of them was calling to me. So that began a whole other phase of my healing and spiritual journey, because now I want to learn about crystals. Now, I want to get more crystals. I want to learn about each and every individual crystal. I remember days where I sat up. I'm still getting high at this point. But I remember days I sat up, I got high, and I wanted to learn about crystals. See, that's the thing that separated me from a lot of people, a lot of individuals that do that drug. You feel me? Like your average individual that does methamphetamine, they not up studying crystal. I did find one thing that I had in common with a lot of individuals that done that drug. Coloring and doing art. That's one thing I found that a lot of people that do meth have in common. Like I seen a lot of individuals, I came across a lot of individuals that just so happen to have like a lot of coloring books and pens and, different colored pens and coloring pencils and crayons and markers and stuff like that. So I figured out that, damn, this is something a lot of people that do meth like to do. They like to fucking draw and color, you know. But see, I got into way more than that though. I got into doing yoga, meditation, breath work, qigong, sound healing. I went all the way. I didn't just go to first, second, third base. I hit the home run. You feel me? And the average person that do meth don't. They don't. It doesn't look like what it looked like for me. Their journey doesn't end well. Unfortunately. But anyway, stayed up some nights. Not the whole entire night, but for a considerate amount of the night, I would stay up and take notes on crystals. I had an infatuation with crystals. You feel me? It was fun. It was fun learning about each individual crystal. I would take notes on all the properties and the healing properties and the abilities that they had, the powers that they have. And not too long after that, I got into tarot card readings. Tarot card readings, eventually affirmations. I came across a lot of information about like star seeds, and light workers and metaphysical things, sacred geometry, things of that nature. I started coming across a lot of information. What else? What else did I start coming across? Chakras. Chakras. I started learning about the chakras. Yeah, so, pretty much just I came across a lot of occult, esoteric knowledge and information and wisdom. I started learning about Stoicism, philosophies, Stoicism, Taoism, the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. I recommend y'all go listen to it. It's an audio book. It's an audio book on the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu on YouTube right now. It's one, they got one with music playing in the background and one without the music. I recommend you listen to the one with the music playing in the background. It's gonna make the experience a whole lot more insightful and so it's very insightful. Taoism, Stoicism, it was guys like Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius that I had started learning about. Friedrich Nietzsche. Hey man, look. Carl fucking Jung, Alan Watts, who else? Alan Watts, Carl Jung, Neville Goddard, Eckhart Tolle, all these information about and regarding all of these individuals that I just named start popping up, And like I said, I was learning a lot. I came across a lot of information that just, it opened me up, it awakened me. Like I had just started, ultimately, with all that being said, I had just started peeping out more and more of what life really has in store. Like, I just started to see that, damn, like, what we've been taught and told ain't even a half, More and more, my perception was just expanding, you know? Seeing that there's way more to this life than what we've been taught and told, you know? Even though I was getting high at the time, I was still, you know, that don't negate or dispel, you know, the fact that I had started something. I had started a journey, you know, and it wasn't no looking back. It wasn't no looking back, man, you know. But yeah, ultimately, eventually, I started taking yoga more serious. I started doing qigong. You know, I started taking breath work, sun gazing. I started sun gazing. You know, I started getting really serious about my diet. You know, of course, when I was getting high, and see, that's another thing. You know, most of the time I went into getting high, my intentions was to fast, was to go 3 or 4 days without eating nothing. Now I can do that without the drug. But at the time, I had formed a dependence on the drug, and you know, there were times where I took a break from it. But eventually, whenever I went back to it, I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna use it for. I kind of used it like a tool for spiritual ascension, even though it may not have been the healthiest tool, you know, but I still used it, you know, in the most positive way that I could possibly use it, you know. I eventually got off of it by the grace of the Most High this year, you know, and you know, when as last year was winding up, I was telling myself, okay, I don't want to bring this into 2025, you know, into the real 2025, which is spring equinox. And it's not, you know, the new year isn't January 1st, you know. If you don't know, if you didn't know that, if you know, you know, but, you know, my solar return is in December 28th, so that's one of the last times I got high, you know, and I was telling myself, okay, I want to make sure I'm good and clean. You know, I set the intentions to be good and clean way before April, you know, and like I said, by the grace of the Most High, that I made that happen. And I'm not looking back, y'all. I'm not looking back, but it's a part of my story, though. It's a part of my journey, you know, and you know, I accept that version of me, you know, and if it wasn't for that version of me, I wouldn't be the version of me that I am now. You know, that version of me paved the way for the version of me that I am currently. So, you know, I'm at peace with everything, man. You know. But like I say though, I really had took, you know, my diet changed more serious. You know, yoga, you know, I'm more serious about these things now than I've ever been. You know, now that I'm clean, you know, it's these things and really everything that I learned. You know, even you know, things like the tree of life and the Kabbalah, you know, the spears on the tree of life, the Sephiroth, things like that. It's things like that that, you know, help me tap into dormant power that's inside of, you know, that's not only within me, but the same dormant power lies in us all, you know. But it's things like that that help me get sober. You know, Reiki healing. I got into Reiki healing. You know, started learning about Reiki. Sound healing. You know. But it's things like that. As a matter of fact, damn near everything that I just got done talking about is what helped me overcome that addiction to methamphetamine. You know, and ultimately is what led me to write my book, 22 Keys to Higher Consciousness. All right. I ain't just trying to sell y'all something. As a matter of fact, I don't give a fuck about the money. I don't don't care about the money. It's the message that's in the book. It's the messages, you know. It's the overall message that if you know, those things help me not only overcome addiction, they help me overcome a lot more than that, but addiction was at the forefront. But if these things can help me overcome an addiction to methamphetamine, that's something that a lot of people don't make it on the other side of. Like I made it out, I made it on the other side of that, like pretty much unscathed, you know. And a lot of people, you know, that's trapped in that addiction don't get to make it out on the other side of all, let alone unscathed. You know, if they do make it out on the other side, they fucked up. You know? For life. And I made it, I'm grateful that I made a turnaround, you know? A complete 360 turnaround. You know? Yeah. So I don't want to hold y'all too long, man. I think I hit it. I think I hit the hammer on the nail, man. I'm pretty sure I hit the hammer on the nail. With that, I just want to end it. I'm gonna end this with a little sound healing. That's how my journey started. That's what led me here. 4 years later, it's a lot more that happened in between now and then. In between then and now, it's a lot more that transpired, but you know, that's pretty much the gist of it. You know? I'm glad to be here, man. I'm glad I could be here. I'm glad y'all are here with me. You know, if you made it to the end of this video, gratitude, much love and gratitude, peace, love and gratitude for watching. Yeah, it's beautiful to be here, man. In this, you know, just knowing the space that I was in then, and now looking at me where I'm at now, I really made it. We made it. You know? I know I'm not the only one that's overcame and conquered, you know, a lot of trials, tribulations, and adversity. You know, I know I'm not the only one that's conquered, you know, their lower self, their lower nature, you know, that has the propensity to be stuck and trapped in, you know, addictions to food and drugs and sex. You know, semen retention. I forgot. That's one of the things I forgot to mention. They got me here with semen retention. I mentioned it, but I didn't go deeper into it. But yeah, eventually it's somewhere around there. I started doing semen retention. Man, that saved me. That's one of the many things that saved me. One of the main things that saved me, man. One of the main things that got me where I'm at right now. You know, Because if it wasn't for semen retention, I wouldn't have even had the confidence or the charisma, you know, the creativity to create everything that I've created, you know. All the beautiful people that I've attracted to me, that I've magnetized to my channel, to my platforms, you know. I wouldn't have had any of that magnetism, you know. From myth to miracle. From myth to miracle. Y'all better know I got a whole lot more in store. Where 22 keys to consciousness came from, I got a whole lot more in store. So y'all stay tuned. Be on the lookout. I'm coming. We coming, y'all. We doing it together, man. Like, you know, I'm not just rising or ascending by myself, you know. Y'all rising with me. Every step of the way, the more I rise, the more I ascend, the more people, you know, I know they say you can't take everybody with you, but, you know, for the ones that's on the same type of time that I'm on, y'all coming with me, you know? And for everybody that's not on what we on, they getting left behind. No hard feelings. They can't come where we coming. They can't come where we going. They got to get there by other means, you know, in their own ways. You know, if not in this lifetime, then the next one. If not in the next one, then the one after that. But, you know, before I close it out, I just want to say, man, congratulations. And I salute to all of y'all. I salute to all the soldiers out there, to all the spiritual soldiers, spiritual warriors. You know, it's been a long, hard battle, man. You know, it's been a long, hard war, but we already won, though. We already won, you know. And when you approach it like that, like you already won, you know. I mean, ultimately that's what's gonna be so, like, you know. Can't nothing stop you when you got a mindset, when your mindset is that way, you know. When you approach every situation, every challenge, every trial, every tribulation, you know. It's being solution, you know, based, you know, solution oriented, you know. Y'all not people to just obsess and ruminate on problems, you know. You don't fixate on the problems. And for that, you always have a solution to everything. And you're always able to see that nothing is really as bad as it seems. You know? It's almost like challenges are fun. You know? We approach life like that. Like you can fucking handle anything that comes your way. I don't know how many of you out there had drug addictions. But as I said, congratulations, because you know that's no longer something that you're dealing with, that you're battling with. You know, it's even if you don't even realize it yet, even if you are still in the midst of an addiction and you haven't overcome it yet, you have, and it's another timeline, it's another version of you that's already beat that. Whether you know it or not, once you realize the truth of that, that's gonna make it easier for you to catch up to that timeline and become that version of you that overcame that. That's let it go. That's moved on from that. That's released it once and for all. You feel me? Even if it's something as small as weed. You can be addicted to weed. Yes, the fuck you can. But you most definitely are a better version of yourself when you're not, when you can put the weed down. For all my guys out there with porn addictions. That's addicted to masturbating and chasing cheeks. Do you know how powerful you are? And how powerful you can be? You don't know. I'm sure you don't, because of the activities that you're indulging in at this point in time. But if you knew, I promise you, you wouldn't be doing the things that you're doing. You wouldn't be involved in a lot of things that you're involved in. It's a journey about self-improvement, man. If you're not doing something to help you improve every single day, then what are you doing? You're just stuck and stagnant. This journey is about growth, personal development. That should be everyone's ultimate intention and goal, is to improve in small ways every single day. Ashe, namaste. Each and every day you go without doing that, watching adult content, watching girls, Instagram models shake their backsides. Each and every day you go without indulging in those kinds of activities. You rewire your brain. You rewire your whole genetic makeup. You replace that habit with stuff like this. Books, reading, things that's gonna help you improve. I recommend y'all go get this book too, the Book of Wisdom. Look, hold on, wait. Whoa! Look what page I just opened this shit up to. I'm talking about it right now. I'm finna break it down with y'all right now on camera. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Okay, let me see. Where we at? Okay, we at 53 minutes. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna read some of this to y'all, man. I'm gonna read some of this with y'all. What is sexual energy? Sacred energy exchange. Our vital life force and the energy responsible for life creation constitute a force that not only initiates and shapes life, but also sustains it. Sex energy serves as the life-giving force that breathes vitality into all living beings on a physical level throughout your lifespan. This energy not only gives rise to life, but also consistently nourishes and supports it. In essence, it grants you life at the moment of birth, yet its influence extends far beyond, continuously renewing and regenerating your cells. So when you're constantly releasing that energy, your semen, your sexual secretions, you stopping it from happening. the regeneration of your cells, and even your, as a result, your organs. All right. So for example, smokers that have, damaged lungs, stop smoking. Start a celibacy and semen retention journey. You will completely rejuvenate and restore health back to your lungs. So before you know it, you're gonna have a brand new set of lungs, pretty much. The essence of sex energy lies in both creation and creativity. The fundamental origin of each individual is rooted in the realm of sex. As we all emerge from it, our existence is intricately tied to sex energy, which acts as the primary source of life creation. Without this vital force, life would lack the impetus, motivation, and driving energy required for its continuous manifestation. Emotion is energy in motion. The most potent among all human emotions is the one associated with sexuality. While there exists other mental stimulants, none of them, individually or collectively, can match the compelling force of sexual desire. A mental stimulant refers to any influence that can either temporarily or permanently elevate the frequency of thought vibrations. All right. The yearning for sexual expression stands as one of the most robust human emotions. When the desire is redirected toward activities beyond mere physical actions, such as intellectual or creative pursuits, it possesses the potential to propel an individual to a genius level. In simpler terms, channeling this potent energy into other realms of life may result in extraordinary achievements and heightened capabilities. Exercising restraint from succumbing to these desires not only requires mental strength, but also manifests as discipline across all facets of our lives. The energy preserved from this restraint can be transmuted into critical thinking, creativity, physical exertion, and most notably, activating the Kundalini to stimulate the pineal gland. The Pornhub logo features an orange hue, symbolizing the sacral energy, the sacral chakra associated with our sexual energy. How to transmute sexual energy. Sexual transmutation involves redirecting the accumulating sexual energy within oneself and channeling it towards a different purpose or endeavor. When transmuting sexual energy, we are working with all of our bodies, because sexual energy exists on the physical, ethereal, astral, emotional, and mental levels of our being. All right. Tantric edging. Tantric edging is the technique involved engaging in sexual activity and intentionally approaching the brink of orgasm without reaching the point of ejaculation or climax. Rooted in ancient tantric traditions, this practice is designed to enhance energy levels, sharpen focus, and inspire creativity. All right. Observe non-judgmentally. Engage in the practice of allowing any feelings that surface within you to emerge freely. Aim to refrain from passing judgment and instead adopt the role of a neutral observer. Recognize these feelings as natural occurrences and simply observe what they reveal about yourself. Avoid categorizing them explicitly as sexual energy. Instead, approach them as sensations, allowing a more open and non-judgmental exploration. All right. So that's that. Now, I know a lot of you may have asked some questions about semen retention and celibacy. Well, that pretty much just broke it down. The importance and why it's imperative. All right, that y'all stop squandering that energy. All right. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. This video been an hour long. For those of y'all that stayed to the end, like I say, peace, love, and gratitude for watching. Make sure y'all go check out the book. Leave me some positive reviews down below in the comments for those of y'all that do so. Let me know what y'all think. I'd love to know y'all feedback. 22 Keys to Higher Consciousness, the ebook on Amazon now. By yours truly, Flow Like Water. Alright. In the meantime, in between time, man, you know, may y'all enjoy the storytelling as much as I enjoyed telling it, alright? But in the meantime, in between time, until we meet again, my friends, y'all be brilliant, be beautiful, be blissful, be bold. Let go of all the lies you was told, and watch everything you touch slowly but surely turn to gold. And I will catch y'all on the next episode for sure. Y'all have a beautiful day. Ashe. Namaste.